Alrighty, my
Oh
friends.
my god, it worked.
It worked? What happened?
Mobile printing actually worked, so.
It was the iPad.
Mobile printing.
Yay!
Yay! You printing stuff right now?
No, I'll do it after.
Oh, okay. How do you know it worked? Oh, I guess that's what.
You get an email that's like, here's the
Gotcha.
release for you to print it off the printer in the next 24 hours. Go print it.
Dig it.
It's pretty cool when it works.
Yeah, I just print at home. I just like.
I don't print.
Yeah.
Period.
I don't have anything to print.
Good for you, tree saver.
Yeah, you're better than me.
Alright, this is like maybe one of our last assignments. It's small. I'd like to have like 2 more assignments. Just because there's some really cool stuff to see. So I kind of cherry picked these problems.
Dude, I started reading chapter 10.
And there's like
Yeah.
Good God.
You like it?
I don't understand it.
Oh, okay. Got it. Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
Gotcha. I thought you were
I
like,
don't know
dude,
if
this
I
shit
like
is
it.
crazy. Did I start that? Probably.
You did.
I did.
I watched
something.
you
It was
walk
in
over
fact
there.
the
Well, that
iPad
doesn't
that
mean
made
shit.
it.
That means absolutely nothing.
Have some fucking. Thank you for saying that. Absolutely.
Absolutely nothing. I've got a new thing. I've got a timer set on TikTok. 1 hour a day.
Me too.
Yeah, it goes fast.
Yeah, I don't stick to it.
So
I did for like the first week that I had it set,
Yeah.
and after that I was
You're like, nah,
remind me in 15 minutes.
another 15. Just put another quarter in.
Just another quarter.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Scroll until it tells me, hey man, you've been scrolling a while, and then I keep scrolling.
Dude, do you even move?
No.
No.
I have zero
Yeah.
self-control, and I love TikTok. Who do you think I am?
And what we're talking, this is like kind of why.
Bless you.
This is like,
Bless you again.
wow, bless you.
Are you better?
This is like why I wanted to have this course for what we have now. This stuff. It only took like 3 months to get here.
I thought you were saying so that you could bless Trinity.
I know.
Oh, wow.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
That's what he meant.
And Dr.
That's
Trinity was
what
like,
he
I've been waiting 3 months.
Oh my
Finally.
god, she finally sees.
Bless
That's
Awesome. So 1D maps, if you got to read, that's cool. Maybe that's not cool, depending on how you felt about what you read.
Yeah.
Um,
Some really chewy information in there.
there's a lot in there, right? Like it's a short chapter, but it's freaking dense.
There's a lot of things.
There's a lot of things
Not
going
a lot of
on.
English, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, come on now. It's Strogatz. He's always got some kind of little zesty phrase in there.
He's very zesty.
He is.
That's
He's
a
got
good
lots
word.
of. Yeah.
That's a good word.
Zesty.
Yeah.
It's not used enough.
It's not zest. I love zest. I don't know. Oh wait, I'll reveal. I wore a special shirt for the day.
I think.
It's not Gandalf. I'm not gonna whip out a Gandalf costume, which would be awesome. But,
Yeah,
this is
we've,
only
we've still
outfit
got time today.
Yes, I will be dressing as a hobbit later, but I didn't want to wear hobbit's attire all day. So.
I want to see you dressed as a hobbit. Can I?
Well, just
You
show
can
up.
just come.
What time does this happen?
3:45.
She has a fire ready. Right now.
Would you like a little?
Yeah, I can do
I've got 2 of them.
It's the
You
last
do.
one. So you're the last
Yay!
person to invite.
Love. That was love right there.
307.
Very cool. You can read that
Sorry.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
I keep derailing this.
cool. So we've got basically just a feedback loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with some point, any point we want. It's supposedly in the domain of this function here, and then we're going to pump it in, and we're going to put out x1 as the image of x0, and then we're going to take x1 and feed that into the function and get something out. And we're going to keep doing this. So we've got this. I don't want to draw necessarily a box here, but we've got this sequence of points that we're going to produce that you can view as a feedback loop. You're taking the output from something and feeding it back into that same thing.
This makes sense.
Oh, good.
This does.
Oh, fuck yeah. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
This was what I did understand.
So this is actually something you've seen in a lot of places. We just haven't like identified it as a 1D map and talked about it in the way we're going to talk about it. But when you do an Euler's method for a differential equation, right? Where we use that to solve the differential equation. We did this early on. Also, it's a subset. It's a special version of any of the Runge-Kutta methods. So any numerical method for a differential equation is a 1D map. These are really different than the things we've been studying, which are differential equations. Everything we've had so far has been like this, and this is continuous. The solutions of these things are curves. But what we're going to get out of this thing is a sequence of points. We're going to see some similar behavior, but then also new things kind of arising from this. What I love about it is the simplicity. Something you can just like hold in your hand. These become unwieldy, and like the Lorentz stuff, like that shit just is like, what the fuck is going on? But this is something like literally we can handle emotionally and mentally. So
I love when that happens.
yeah. So like another thing that this might model is a population where you have you're checking in on the population from year to year. So if you have a population that maybe is dying or growing or whatever, but we could have the population at some future generation depending upon the current population level. So that all sounds pretty reasonable too, right? Let's see, what are my other little things here? I think I've said, oh, and I don't know if you caught it in the little video we watched the other day. He was talking about Poincaré maps. Do you remember that? Yeah, so Poincaré map is also an iterated map. Remember where he took like a little segment in the 3D space and watched where a point went. It went out onto some orbit and came back, and we called that x1, and then we watched where x1 went, and we gained an understanding of things that way. So that was another example. So these things are all over. Let's look at like one of the simplest things we could possibly do. And he doesn't do this, and I think it will help us gain some insight into these, like just a linear function. So alpha is a constant, and just a real number. And so depending on what alpha is, let's just look at some simple examples here. Let's say alpha is a half. Then, and I'm going to let x0 be whatever I want. Hey, let me start at a nice multiple of 2, just to make life easy for a while. So then x1 is going to be half of that. x2 is going to be half of that. x3 is going to be half of that, and you get the point on that. But there's a cooler way to see this, and that's what the cobwebbing is about. So let's take a look at what cobwebbing means. So the first thing I'm going to do is sketch out, let's see here, this is our mapping here. And we're going to think of this as x sub n plus 1, the output, and this is x sub n. So kind of an xy scenario, basically. It's not, I mean, if this was y and this was x, this is exactly what we do. Nothing mystical. If we sketch this out, it's just like the line y equals 1/2 x. So let's say this line right here is x sub n plus 1 equals 1/2 x sub n. I kind of wish I'd made it a little bit shallower, but I'm going to cheese out on this other one. And I'm going to make this the perfect diagonal. So this is x sub n plus 1 equals x sub n.
That's just
So it looks, it's not great.
No, it's beautiful, Dr. G.
Oh, well, you're lovely.
Those are very straight lines.
They're
Even
thank
if
you.
they're not-
Honestly,
What
yeah.
am I gonna do without coming here for this like positive reinforcement?
You just keep doing it.
It's cool. It'll be on tape. I'll watch this over
Yeah.
and over again.
Over and over.
Oh, my lines were so straight that day. When I was a young man, I could draw a straight line.
So that's like y equals x.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah, yeah. So you can just think of that as, yeah, exactly, Sydney. You can think of that as y equals x. Perfect. So let's look at this action that's happening over here. And let's say here's 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we got to sync this up. So we're going to scale this top one so that it actually is what I claimed it to be. So there's 1, there's 2. Sorry, Kayla, I'll get out of here. Wait just a second. 3. And things are becoming less straight. But I'm just doing, so I'm going to erase those. But that was just to get the scale to be decent, because we're going to want to have other lines in here. If you're a colored pencil or pen person, you're going to want to pull out some colored pencils or pens or whatever you got. Yes, ma'am.
I might not be all the way awake yet, but so wouldn't our half so if we go x naught equals 4, x1 equals 2.
It's pretty shitty, so let's actually fix it.
No, that looks like it's
That's not what you're saying. What is it you're saying? I'm sorry.
no, it just looks like it's decreasing to me. Am I?
Wait, what's decreasing? I'm sorry.
Yes, see this, I'm not awake yet, so.
Okay.
X naught equals 4.
Correct.
X1
Oh,
equals 2.
yes. You're right. This is not the sequence. This is like a setup. Cool, you're right. So you are totally alert. That is a decreasing sequence.
You're not
Yay.
And those lines are going up.
Okay.
crazy. Good.
So,
Okay.
Thank
solid.
you.
Awesome. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about cobwebs. So, it's like one of the funnest parts of this.
Everything's fine, Kayla.
So
Everything
yeah,
is fine.
we're just like making the place for the spider to weave
Yeah,
the cobweb.
You are
Set
not
that
crazy. You are awake and alert and capable. You are doing great.
I'm gonna actually adjust my 1/2 line so that it truly is a 1/2 line. So I'm gonna go 3, and then 1/2, and then 4 comes to 2. So that's probably a little bit better.
I like that. A little squeak.
All right, so what is the process of cobweb? Well, we start with our initial condition, x naught is 4. So we're going to start here, and we're going to put that into the system. So that means we want to find out what happens when we take half of it. So we go to the line governing the system, and does that make sense? Or the
Yeah.
curve or whatever. And then that output would be 2, right? So right there, the height is 2. Now I want to take 2 and feed it back into the system. That's what this line is for. So notice that if I actually just input 2 down here, I would end up here.
Yeah.
But I can also get there by bouncing off the diagonal and coming straight down. Because right here, this is the y-coordinate of a point on here is the x-coordinate. So it takes you to the same place.
You're just feedback. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we go from, we come up, we go over, and we come down. Now check out the rhythm here. We always go left or right to the diagonal. So the perfect diagonal, we only move left or right to. And the curve, the defining curve, we move up or down to. So defining curve, we move up or down, and you never do either, but you never flip that. That's the way it's going to be. So now I'm at 2, and I see that input. So you can read the inputs like by the vertical, the sequence by just the vertical line coordinates. So here 4, 2. Now we're going to feed 2 in. So I go to the diagonal, and I come down, and it gets me to 1. So I've got 4, 2, 1, and then I just repeat this. There's a 1/2, there's a 1/4, there's an 1/8. And you can kind of see that those things are cruising towards 0. Let me know, I know that's a lot of details in the drawing. I never noticed is that Boba Fett?
No, it's just the Mandalorian.
Is this making sense? Like how to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you the chance to follow up on it. So in some ways, it looks like 0 is an attractor here, a stable point in
Okay.
some ways, right? And we don't know that for sure, it just looks like that for this sequence. But if you think about it, over here, we can kind of imagine, this is just, no matter where I start, I'm gonna be doing this kind of action all the way down. We'll talk about how to make that very definite in a bit. So that's a half. What if I had alpha is, now I'm gonna get a little more abstract here. I'm gonna say alpha's bigger than 1. So up there, that was the alpha less than 1. So let's draw this picture out again. Draw the perfect diagonal. And then any line you want, so this is, we can cheese out because alpha is arbitrary, so it has a slope greater than 1. So that means, in other words, and here's my map, x of n plus 1 equals alpha x of n. And then this must be x of n plus 1 equals alpha x of n, or y equals alpha x. This is the output, this is the input, and this is, let's just mark everything for a little while. So let's play this game, but let's start with, like, say, a 1 here. Yeah, does that make sense? We good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I go to, so now I go past that diagonal. Let me get the blues out.
We're going to the defining curve?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, exactly. Because I'm moving up, right? So I would only move to the defining curve up. And then that would be my next output, which would actually be what? What would that output be there? I think I heard it. Yeah, it's just alpha, right? If x sub 0 is 1, then x sub 1 is alpha. So that would just be alpha. And then we go to the diagonal. Now check this out. Do you see that something different is already happening? Now I've got to go up or down to the curve. It looks like I've got to go up. Jesus. I need Trinity to say shit for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this point here, since this is diagonal, this coordinate must have also been alpha. So notice how we're getting a vision of the entire sequence just as the x coordinates of the vertical segments. And then what would this be? Right here, what's that? Alpha squared. Because we put input in alpha. And then now you can kind of see a completely different behavior. Let's actually put some arrows on it just to emphasize that this thing is blowing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so everything is moving away from the origin in this case.
So,
Yes?
wait, never mind.
You good?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Cool. So why do I keep talking about the origin? Because the origin here is a fixed point. It's the only point that I can input and get that same value back out. So let's just make a little note here that 0 is the only fixed point. And I'm going to define that now because we're going to need that definition. So a fixed point, it's abbreviated there, that's not much of a definition. A fixed point, x star, is any point such that x star equals f of x star. So it doesn't change with the, it doesn't change when we pass it through the function. So I just I'm gonna summarize a little bit, and I think you'll believe me now that we did that really specific example for alpha less than 1 and alpha greater than 1. The alpha greater than 1 was the general. But again, if I have, let's just do a quick one here, because I just want to have this solid. Here's x n plus 1 equals x of n. And then here we're gonna say alpha is less than 1. So we've got something like this. Just want to start off with something chill. What is gonna happen? Well, no matter where I start, I'm gonna go to the curve. No, I guess I'm not using blue anymore, but that's okay. Go up to the curve, go to the diagonal. And that's gonna happen anytime this line here is underneath the diagonal. What happens when it's on the diagonal? What happens when alpha equals 1? What do we get? What happens? What are the fixed points? Zero's a fixed point. All of them, right? Everything is fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get off the line.
So there's no motion here at all. This is almost like the trivial map in that here's the diagonal. That's also the freaking map. So when you go there, you're stuck there. Done.
Poor guy. That's not a very eventful life.
So would that be a bifurcation?
Not yet. So we would need a parameter in, oh, I see what you're saying. If
Because
alpha was the parameter.
if alpha is the parameter, because you go from, so if alpha is less than 1, then it is 0 is like an attractor, and when alpha is
Definitely. Yeah, you could think of it that way. So yeah, so it's a nice.
point of
Yes.
The hand
Yeah, you
motions.
could think of it that way.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes. It's okay, we got your sign. You're like,
yeah.
I get so much
Put that
joy
in the textbook.
from Trinity cussing and Kayla's hand motions.
Sometimes the words just aren't wording.
It happens, Kayla. I get it. Nobody needs words.
do you know the ASL for bullshit?
You need to.
No, I
I
should.
think it's
It's
something like that,
Oh,
right?
isn't
Like,
it-
or, I don't know.
Like that?
Yes, yes,
Once I
yes.
saw you do it, I was like, I've seen
Yeah,
that
I've seen
before.
that, yeah,
Are you saying I can just strictly speak in ASL?
Strictly.
Yeah,
And
just
Kayla
don't
ASL.
speak anymore.
I
Okay.
understand Kayla ASL.
So let's see, let's really quick here. I need to write some stuff up. Let's see, what was I gonna write? So for this map, 0 is an attractor
For less than 1, right?
for alpha less than 1. For alpha equals 1, all points are fixed. And this is boring. And then when alpha was greater than 1, 0, the only fixed point was a repeller or unstable. So I'm using the words repel and attract, but that just means unstable in the same way that we've always known it to be. Attractor means stable. So let's talk about how to do this with calculus. You don't need a picture. Pictures are awesome. We're gonna want them all the time. Every time you see something, you're gonna want a picture of it. I've got some cool apps to help with that. Sweet, that's right. That's right. But how to determine stability of a fixed point, x star. So x star is a fixed point, that means we know this. So let's write out the general system. Xn plus 1 equals f of x sub n. So what we're gonna do is actually consider all the points in the series of points, sequence of points, as a perturbation away from the fixed point. So we're gonna say that x sub 1 equals x star plus h sub 1, x2 equals x star plus h sub 2, and on down the line, right? So then x sub n is x star plus h sub n. So we really want to just think about that difference away from the fixed point, because what we want to do is understand, are we moving toward the fixed point or away from the fixed point? And that'll give us a sense about what stability is gonna be here. So, this dude over here is going to be x star plus h sub n plus 1. That's this left side, just using this nomenclature. And then on the right, I've got f of x star plus h sub n on the inside. And that is just begging for a Taylor series expansion. Because h is little. Is it cool? Yeah?
Oh.
You down with that? You down with tailoring?
I guess.
I'm shaking your head.
SMH.
All right, so Taylor series expansion, f at the point plus, and there's like a over 0 factorial in front there, right? And then we've got f prime at x star, and that's over 1 factorial times h sub n, the difference here. And then it's going to be second derivative h sub n squared, so we're just going to cop out and write order h sub n squared. Everything out there's h sub n squared or higher in terms of the powers.
What's that fancy O you just drew?
That's big O notation. We use that for a series. It just means that everything out here can be thought of as a multiple. You could factor an h sub n squared out of everything that comes after.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? Because everything will be that or higher.
Because h is super little, so it just keeps getting smaller.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
how I had to think about it.
Yeah, very nice to actually make that point. Yeah, so Sydney, think if h sub n was like a 1/100th, then h sub n squared is going to be 1/10,000th.
Okay.
So it's
So, like in some sense, it's negligible over here. So, anything cool happen? Well, yeah, this is a fixed point. So this is actually x star. And so that's going to cancel, and I get this like perturbation sequence. So just a sequence that reflects what's happening with the h's. And it's going to look like this. And let's actually just put an approximate here, but good enough for us, for the most part. So now I've got a new map. And it's much simpler than the original map. Realize this is just a constant, right? That's just a number. So I've got a map that looks like the stuff we started with today. Right? So literally, if I let alpha equal f prime of x star, then I have the map we initiated with in terms of the perturbations. And we saw some stuff over here about being an attractor, but I want to make it a little clearer here and talk about it. So let's think about what is this sequence going to look like. So we'll have some h0, which is probably 0, but who knows what it's going to. No, it better not be 0. But we've got some h0, and then what's the next point? What will the next point be? And then the next one's another alpha on top, right? On down the way. So this sequence is going to converge if this alpha is dying as it goes up in power. Then that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So this sequence will tend toward 0 if the magnitude of alpha is less than 1. So alpha could actually be a negative number too. Things get a little weirder, but you still stay headed towards 0, right? Because if alpha was like -0.5, I'm still headed towards 0. I'm just bouncing positive and negative as I do it. So a dying oscillation. And then if alpha is bigger than 1, what's going to happen? It's going to blow up. So it's going to go to plus or minus infinity if alpha is bigger than 1. If alpha has magnitude 1, then we don't know anything. Then we need to dig deeper. We need to consider that big O stuff, because that's probably playing a role here. Then we need to consider higher order terms. And this linearization isn't going to work. In this case here, this is called linearly stable. So here we would say x star is linearly stable. And then this would be x star is unstable. These are nice clear-cut things. You can count on those classifications. Cool. We got through the nitty-gritty. We can start having some fun. Yeah, let's have some fun. Yes?
I'm so sorry.
No.
Why would we, okay, so H naught and then alpha H naught?
Yes. I'm sorry. So what's your question?
Why
Oh, okay. You're
is
still
it
asking.
for- Yeah,
She was like,
I'm
Loading.
buffering. So, and the reason why the first term of the HN plus 1 series, or that sequence, the reason why that does not have an alpha is because
I have to pick some initiating point.
you're picky. Okay.
Does that make sense? Is that good? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, we gotta feed it first, and then until it knows
We
what
gotta
it's
get it
doing.
going.
What do you mean?
So let's do an example together, and we're gonna do it in all the ways. All the ways. So we got x sub n plus 1 equals 1 minus x sub n squared. Squared.
yeah,
It's like super square.
it's really square. It's as square as you can get.
So freaking square.
It's never there.
That's right. What are my fixed points?
1.
I do it.
Wait,
Yeah. Slow down. Right.
I like 0 personally, but like
So if I put in 0, what comes out?
1.
1. That's not a fixed point.
If
I
you
need to
put
have
in
the same
1,
thing come out.
If you put in 1, then 0 comes out.
Yep, that's not the
Okay.
same as 0.
Wait, say it again.
Okay,
Say it again.
so what I need, let me write it out. So to find the fixed points, I'm just going to basically solve this equation. I want to come out, when I take something and square it and subtract it from 1, I want to get the same number out. What number does this? What number never changes in this system? What can I input here that doesn't change? Well, I think, so let's check it out. Let's just kind of keep going. So here is the way to do it, Sydney. You're gonna just like replace this, and you don't need to put the freaking star, right? Like, solve this. Solve to find the fixed points, this system, not the system, this freaking equation. Saying freaking a lot today. Quadratic. Yeah. So x equals -1 plus or minus square root 1 minus 4ac, so plus 4, 2. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's not.
like a
It's
super important number.
it's close to it. It's not exactly, but it is super close to it. It's like one of these is the negative of phi, the golden ratio.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, that
Yeah,
was
the
a
golden
lot
ratio is
too.
this one here, but we've got the opposite of it for sure. So yeah, good eye. Yeah, whenever you see square root of 5, you know, like phi is working.
SOS. Oh no.
Yeah.
So
Here.
SOS, shit on a shingle? What?
I've never heard that.
help.
You never heard that? You weren't in
I like
service
that
like
better
me.
than-
No, I've seen a lot of movies about like the army,
Oh,
TV shows. Like I just remember like MASH. Like that's as
Sure.
close as I've ever gotten to.
Wow, like I know what you're
Military
talking
service.
about, but I've like never
It's cream
seen
cheese
it.
beef on toast.
that sounds.
Doesn't that sound terrible? Creamed beef?
That's just wrong.
It is, and then you put it on toast. When we were a kid, we used to have it. When I was a kid, we had it.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff I would eat as a kid. I would never touch that.
No,
Okay,
same.
like the way you're explaining it, you're not making it.
No, we were like, we grew up with all this German food, so it was just always like head cheese and shit like that around, you know, and pig's feet,
Oh, that's
gizzards. Just,
my grandpa likes gizzards for some reason. And
my grandma loved potato fried gizzard. She hated it when we all went vegetarian. She took it as a personal affront.
Oh, oops.
I can imagine Grandma was not happy.
She was not happy in one day because she felt judged, and it was like, no, do what you want, but we're not eating that big plate of gizzards you just fried up.
Uh-huh.
Enjoy.
Go more for you, Grandma.
More for
Have
you,
at
Grandma.
it.
So we have 2 fixed points.
So
You do, yeah.
Almost.
So let me prove this to you, Sydney. So now, I mean, actually, this should convince you that if I took this and squared it and subtracted it from 1, I would actually get it back out. So either of these 2 numbers are going to satisfy this relationship up here. And they're not obvious, right? Like, it would have been cool if 1 would have worked.
Personally, I'm a fan of 0.
And 0 would have been freaking awesome. But
Zero's
these
always the good, like,
turn out to be a little
I love that
weird.
guy.
pat on the back.
So let's look at the cobweb diagram. And then we'll do the stability, but I want you to see where these kind of show up. So I'm going to sketch y equals 1 minus x squared. Like so.
Uh-huh.
So that's the response curve. And then this is the diagonal here. And our fixed points are precisely where those 2 intersect. So your fixed points on the cobweb will be where, remember it was 0 before, it wasn't super interesting. We had 2 lines through the origin. The only place they could intersect was 0, which was our fixed point. Now things are a lot more interesting. And so this one here must be -1/2 plus root 5 over 2, and then this one here is the -1/2 minus root 5 over 2. But we don't quite know what's going to happen. Let's think about the cobwebbing for just a second. So let's say I took a point inside here. I would go up to the parabola, go to the line, I would come down to the parabola. That's how shitty I did that. That's pretty bad. I come to the parabola, and then go to the line, and boy, this is looking crazy. It's fucked up. I think that's what Trinity was about to say.
What the?
And you can start anywhere. I want to start here, so I'm gonna start right here.
I got a wisp hat.
I'm gonna get a pretty pen out. I'm gonna go to the parabola.
So this is too hard to do by hand accurately because it'll just look like garbage, right? But we're getting a sense of what we're gonna do it with like an app. But let's try to figure out, this almost looks like it's unstable, right? It kind of looks like I'm moving away from it. Let's do the classification.
Oh man, I turned out.
So for this, I just need f prime. So we need f prime of x, and that's just going to be -2x. Do you see where I'm getting that from?
Yes.
F of x is
Yeah.
1 minus x squared, yes. So check it out. Here, we're going to be stable when the magnitude of this is less than 1. And we're going to be unstable if the magnitude of this is greater than 1. So let's check out our 2 fixed points. So let's check out f prime of, let's do this one. I think this, okay, yeah, for talk. Let's do this one here. So -1/2 plus root 5 over 2. And look, you got nice halves in there, so everything's pretty chill. We've got, this just turns into 1 minus root 5, I believe. Does that look right?
Yeah.
I think so, right? Just multiplied this by 2 and then negated it. So is this number, what is this number approximately? What's the square root of 5 like?
Like 2 something.
2 point
Yeah.
something. 2 point, I think it's like 2.6. Let's check it out. Gail's gonna find out. What? False. It is
Guesses.
2.61.
2.71.
2.68.
2.24.
We are all trash.
Wow.
You were all like in this
Wow.
area, and you were all like,
We are garbage.
We are utter garbage.
Wow. I don't think that
I don't think we should be math
just
majors.
because you can't approximate
No, just.
1 square root.
I mean,
don't think.
it can't be much more than like 2, right? I should have like thought it's just a little more than 2. I don't know.
I don't think I'm in the right profession.
So Kayla, could you just do this number for us since we're clearly incapable?
Garbage.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely what's happening. You guys just can't handle it. Just kidding. I was joking. Okay, it's minus 1.24.
And that is clearly more than 1 in magnitude. That's all we care about, right? So the magnitude of this is greater than 1. So that is an unstable point right there. And that means that no matter where you go, start near it, you will always move away from it in this spiraling kind of way.
So when you say that, isn't okay? You're talking about the intersection of the parabola
Yes,
and
ma'am.
the perfect diagonal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Love.
So this is unstable.
Okay.
And then let's just check out the other one to see. I'm hoping it's stable, but I don't know. So let's see here. So f prime of -1/2 minus root 5 over 2. I don't see how that's going to be any better. Yeah, I don't know, but let's keep going. So I'm going to take twice that and then negate it, and I just get 1 plus root 5. Well, that should that's clearly bigger than 1.
Yeah.
It is.
That'll be 3.24.
What is it?
3.24.
8.24. Thank you. So both of these points are unstable. So that means that over here, if you start near it, if you start cobwebbing, so like let's just try a little cobweb over here. We can kind of see it. So you go, oh boy, that's tough.
That's
up,
where I started.
Go up to the curve right here, something
Yeah.
like that, yeah. And then we have to go to the line, so I have to go across, and then I have to go up to the line, and then over, and then down. It looks like it's going to be a very interesting shed, Jesus.
Wait, I thought.
What the fuck is going on?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you've been saying this whole time. I don't know why I wouldn't listen.
What in the hell?
In the tar nation is
I'll
this?
tell you what.
What?
God.
I tell you what.
That's how my grandpa talks.
Is it?
Mine too.
He's a tarnation
Oh
guy.
yeah, like he does like the what in the hell?
What
like,
in the hell?
So when I hear people say that, like, it just makes me.
It makes me think of the guy on TikTok. Who goes,
Oh,
my
God.
I forgot about
What?
him.
Oh
What
God.
incarnation?
what did all doing?
Get your laptop out.
Yes, pictures.
It's picture time. I gotta get into my email. So yeah, I put up a new thing in there for us.
Sorry, Trinity.
Sweetie, this is what you needed to
It
be
is.
ready for your.
Yeah, you need
Welcome to Nonlinear.
recreational chaos.
I want to know who's watching our videos that's not in our class. I want to know.
I found out
if
one of
they-
them.
Okay,
Is it
who?
Cyber?
Is it-
It's a student in DiffyQ. She said she's just watching them to learn some of this stuff.
That's funny.
Well, she just heard that.
That's
Hi, bestie.
That's really cool.
I think it is cool. I'm like
Good for her.
super proud of it. I'm
She
super
sits
glad it's
through
someone
this?
I know.
She
Well,
sits through our notes.
I was gonna ask, sometimes I accidentally, like, when I'm looking for videos, I just start clicking through and I'm like, I'll figure out if it's right. And then I often start watching DiffyQ videos and I'm like, this doesn't feel right to me. Something feels off.
I really missed a lot of class.
Oh,
I feel like we've gone, in a really different direction. This doesn't feel like.
My computer's gonna die.
Oh.
So look at the so the first one that I put up is the one.
Oh, yeah, okay, Logistic Explorer 1.
So
Thank
let's
you.
see. Hopefully it's this one you're seeing. This one?
Yes.
Yay! Okay, cool. So we're about to start studying the most awesome map in the world. One of my favorite math stories. We're not going to quite get done with it today,
I don't know how we possibly could, but we are looking at what's called the logistic map. And it's a parameterized map, so we're gonna see bifurcations out the Yahoo.
The Yahoo!
Yahoo!
Yeah.
And if you sketch out the cobweb map for this, looks like the parabola. This parabola here, y equals that, and then this is right at 1/2, this is at 1, this is r over 4 as a max, right there. And then you've got your diagonal line, which may or may not intersect the parabola depending on r. But you can see that r controls the height of the parabola.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we got here is that map, and we're viewing it as a population map because that's actually what it's all about. It's used to do a very simple model of population growth where there's a capped population. So you have some sort of max population over here that you could never exceed because of resources and space or whatever you've got. So let's check this thing out, and some interesting stuff happens. So let's set R, see that R box? Let's set that to 1.
Absolutely.
And then we get to start 2 different initial conditions. So you can pick whatever 2 you want there. I'm starting at 0.65 because that's what's here, and then at 0.15, so I've got 2 different initial conditions here. And then you just hit, you can either click next, and it'll start showing you the population, how it changes over time, or you can just go fill, and boom, it'll do it. Actually, I don't quite know what those weird bottom ones are there. Oh, let's see. What?
Oh, I did that too, okay.
Yeah, let's try to
Confused a
reset.
little. A little confused.
Let's try reset and then fill. There we go. Okay, do reset, hit reset. It's easily fucked up.
What happens if you make these bigger than 1?
If they get bigger than 1, weirder stuff can happen.
Like fun stuff?
Yeah, that's always fun. Absolutely. But what we're going to view this as an actual application for just a little while. And this is the percentage of the max population that we have achieved at each generation.
Percentage
Yeah, so the 1 is like at capacity, 0 is like everybody's dead. so check it out.
Shit.
Look at how everything dies out, and this is actually going to happen no matter what. So here, the origin is a stable attractor, and we can prove this with the techniques we've talked about. We'll get to that next time. But what I really want to do is show you what happens as the growth rate. So think of R as the reproduction rate, the coefficient of fecundity.
Good Lord.
Yes.
Yeah.
The propensity to do it.
Wow.
And I think that's it. So R equals the coefficient of fecundity.
How does one even spell? I
What
learned
is
so
it
many
there?
new words in this class.
I knew you would love it.
Wow.
It was for you. So let's move R up to 2, and then do a reset, and then just a fill. And now look, we have a new fixed point. Now things are tending toward 1/2. So that fixed point at 0 kind of moved. And we can see that here. Let's see, we're at 2. I'm not quite sure what the parabola looks like, but it's something like this. And so what we're seeing is, we're not seeing that yet. Let's see, I think we're seeing something like this, where you go here, there. Oh yeah. We're kind of just like zigzagging into that fixed point. So that's the point we're finding right there. 1/2.
Why does the blue one start and then drop and then go? Do you see?
Yeah, I guess just, let's see, because we're starting at like 0.65. So here, it looks like it kind of, I don't know, so I'm doing something like this. I got up to here. That could have been less than this value here in terms of height, Kayla.
Okay.
So it's just the way the,
Okay.
yeah, thing.
Cool.
All right, so let's crank it up. So go to 3 and do a reset and fill. And now look what's happened.
what we see now are period 2 populations. So every generation the population is up and the next it's down. And these kind of settle into a rhythm. You can see they're starting to converge to a particular rhythm. But what we're seeing there is, and we're going to see this in the cobweb diagram in just a second. Let's just keep going. And then 3.1, reset, fill. Look at that.
Bro, just wait till you get to 4.
Don't go to 4. Don't go to 4.
I
We do
did.
not want to go to 4.
I did.
You went all the way to 4, dude?
I did.
So I'm just going to kind of keep going up here.
They're kind of like interpolated.
Yes. But now look, so now I'm up a little bit higher,
That's pretty.
and each of those is breaking into 2. So remember how this worked. And let me show you a picture. You're going to be used to pictures like this. We started out with, if this is our fixed point, and then this is R. We started off with 0 being our only fixed point, and that moved away, and then it split into 2 fixed points.
Uh-huh.
And now we're seeing each of those fixed points as we move just a little bit further split again.
Tree. Uh-oh.
There's a bifurcation diagram. And now I can show you.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually this bifurcation diagram.
Love. Love.
I made this.
Did you really?
I do, it sells these.
Can
Oh, I don't, like, well, this was hand drawn and this I used, like,
I buy one?
you can totally buy one.
Buy one.
I'll even make it especially if you want different colors or something, I'll make it for you.
I love it here.
Custom.
Okay. I have to like think about what we
So let's try this again. So 3.6, I'm gonna reset and fill. And now things are getting even weirder. If we crank up to like 3.9,
Yeah.
things are batshit.
Uh-huh.
What happened along the way was this. For smaller and smaller moves of the parameter caused what's called period doubling. And so each of these branches kept splitting. And right
Jesus
when you
Christ.
get to like 3.9, yeah, Jesus Christ. When you get to 3.95, there are no more fixed points.
Oh,
Nothing
what?
is fixed and we have chaos. And that's what these bands are here. So see, here's the main equilibrium, then it splits into 2, and then they're splitting over and over again, and these bands are chaos up here. So let's go to App 2.
App 2.
App 2.
Okay.
And this is the cobweb version of all of this.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So now you can see, and you can slide the parameter R at the bottom, and you can literally watch. So let's check this out. See how it's got 0 as a fixed point?
Yes.
As I get here, now watch, see all of a sudden, it's starting to kind of form a limit cycle in some ways, right? And then right at some point in here, it becomes a perfect, let's go to 2 cycle, I don't know, it starts to get kind of hard to see where these things are.
Woo! Blow it all the way up.
I will. But I think we're not quite at chaos yet, just at like very
This
high
looks like
periods.
chaos.
We don't hit chaos until 3.95, and in fact, the people who discovered this, there was a quote from one of the guys, oh no, I guess it's 3.56. What the Christ happens for the value R infinity, which
Yeah.
is 3.569946.
Wait, okay, 3 points. 5, 6. Come on, little buddy. Come on, little buddy, go.
So that is where, well, here's the bifurcation diagram, by the way.
Oh, there's another one?
Oh.
Oh!
Yeah, you see it, it's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you've seen it elsewhere.
Sideways before,
Yes.
and I did not know what that meant.
But it makes sense now, right?
Whoa.
And look at so something really crazy is going on with this. This is a fractal, right? And when you come in here, notice there's these bands where the chaos becomes not chaotic anymore. So these bands of stability, like go down and click on one of these little areas. Click on it on one of those open spaces in there. And see what you see. This, actually, go to the third app. The third app is it's a better one to do this with. This is a really nice one. This is the first time I've ever seen this, and I love the colors
Love.
that they use. So this is quite extraordinary.
That looks like art.
It is.
Like it looks more arty than a lot of art.
Yes, yes, absolutely. But notice in these regions, it's in itself infinitely many times. Like click on there, the whole diagram appears again inside there. So just click on it. Or do you have to draw a little box? I think you have to draw,
Yeah, you have to
drag a box.
Where'd he go? Oh, there he is.
So we're seeing self-similarity. We're headed toward fractal town. Yeah.
I don't want to offend the butterfly one, but I think I found it.
No, me too. This is like way my
Sorry.
favorite.
It was-
Way my favorite.
I'm pretty partial to the butterflies.
I tried to convince the math department a long time ago to make these official math department t-shirts that did not fly, but so I was just like,
Alright,
fuck you guys, I'll
this
make
is-
money off
As you should.
of it. Yeah,
As you
I'm
should.
sorry.
yeah. I'm making dozens of dollars every
As
month.
you should. Yeah.
Okay, why does it do this? Is that period? Is it
That
what
I
you're talking
don't
about?
know. That I want to understand. And maybe we can like investigate it together because I don't know where those beautiful sweeping arcs come from in there. They're gorgeous,
Yeah.
right?
Well, but even on the one that we were just using, it kind of naturally fell into that like sinusoidal-esque.
Yes.
So-
Yeah, yeah. And isn't it amazing? This comes from a parabola. The lowest order of nonlinearity. It's just like as soon as you become nonlinear, this manifests.
Okay, hold on. What if I do? I'm gonna zoom in on this one. Right there.
That means, so do we know what this looks like for anything higher than order 2?
Yours too?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So we can.
Is it like crazified?
It's the amazing thing is this similar picture kind of shows up in all sorts of different curves that we can possibly use. You can use higher order curves. In fact, you're going to get to explore some interesting maps on your own. I need to find an app, and maybe you can help me find it. I couldn't. One where you can actually enter the function definition, because everything's for the logistic.
You can save these as images.
Yes, this is correct.
Sounds very exciting.
Do you know the Mandelbrot set? When I say that, you might know it a little bit. We might have talked about it in complex. So this is strongly linked to the Mandelbrot. Look up, yeah, just look up here. I'll just do it real quick.
Dude, it just keeps going.
Oh, it does.
It doesn't matter how many times you zoom in, it just reproduces the same thing.
This is related to this set.
Um,
This is
Oh,
just
no,
the
we should-
complex analysis version. Here we're
Yeah,
using
we should
full
use that.
complexity.
That's
Um,
cool.
We should have Pink Floyd playing.
We should have.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we will. Set the controls for the heart of the sun.
Oh, look at it go.
So
Standing right in the way.
this is just the older, the kind of more expanded version of what we're looking at. But isn't it just amazing what can happen with just such simplicity?
So is this like simple code?
Oh, well, it depends. That's probably pretty
Fine,
good code.
simple.
This is actually just this system. It's just
Oh.
another parabola, except that
And
z
you
can be a
choose
complex
something.
number. Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
That's why it's so, yeah, that's why it's very swirly and like much more interesting than.
So if you choose like, so if you choose like a super yucky complex, does it do better fractal stuff?
Oh, it's
Like-
hard to.
Like a simple complex, like, root of -5, or if you choose like -1/2 over
For what? For the exponent?
for C.
Oh, for C. Oh, well, so this is actually generated by starting with C. So what you do is you take a point in the complex plane, you let it be C, and then you start every sequence with 0. If they go off to infinity, you gauge how fast they're going and you assign them a color based on how fast they fly to infinity. If they don't fly off to infinity, you color them black, and that's what that big hole in the middle is. The ones that are like, don't fly away. And there's like a whole architecture and landscape to it. We'll get into it. We'll get there. Yay!
How many dollars is your shirt?
What's that?
how many
It's,
dollars.
I don't, it depends on which, we can talk.
Okay.
We'll talk.
Okay, this
I
is
can make,
really
I,
exciting to me.
I kinda wanna make a different color version of this. This summer I'm gonna work on some new shirts. I've got a bunch of shirts.
I'm very
Good.
excited.
All right.
Have a wonderful weekend, friend. See you at Trinity's thing, maybe?